The dark story of the abandoned Gilley's Hotel. Forbidden from the Appalachian record books before we uncover Gilley's forbidden history. Quick pause. Drop in the comments where you're watching from and your local time. I read them all. Subscribe for next story alerts. Now, let's begin. Let me paint you the picture, not with colors, but with the kind of truth that sticks to your boots and follows you home. John Bull. That's the man. A blacksmith by trade, shoulders wide as an ox yoke, hands scarred black from a lifetime feeding fire and iron, no noble blood, no silver spoon, just a man who knew how to make things bend to his will when the world wouldn't. The Commonwealth of Virginia hands him 55 acres like it's nothing more than a handshake and a spit in the dirt. Payment for services rendered, whatever those were, they didn't make it to any ledger worth reading. No speeches, no brass band, no preacher to bless the claim. Just him, an axe, a mule named Gray, and 2 ridges in eastern Tennessee that the Cherokee once called their own, before treaties and bayonets changed the map. He swings that axe from dawn's first grey smear till the stars prick through. Clears pine and oak. Builds a forge first, because a man like John Bull knows fire is more honest than any government promise. He names the place Bull's Gap. Simple, direct, like the man himself. For 65 years, it's barely a footnote. A natural break in the Appalachian ridgeline, just wide enough for a mule train loaded with tobacco or a family heading west with everything they own strapped to their backs. Travelers stop at the creek to water horses, swap news of Indian troubles up north, or haggle over a jug of corn liquor from a one-room inn that smells of damp wool and regret. The mountains rise around it like cathedral walls, peaks shrouded in morning mist, valleys where the wind carries whispers from God knows where but never lingers to explain. Folks pass through, few stay. The soil's too rocky for much more than corn and hogs. Winters bite deep, turning fingers black. Summers bring fevers from the creek. It's a gap in the mountains, nothing more. A place the ridgeline forgot to close. But the mountains never forget. They watch, they wait. Then 1857 comes calling like a wolf at the door. The East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad, ET&V to those who dream in ledgers and steam, sends its surveyors. These aren't hill folk. These are city men from Knoxville and Richmond. Wool suits too tight for the heat. Pocket watches ticking like impatient hearts. Levels and chains in their hands, maps rolled under arms. They climb the ridges at dawn, boots slipping on shale. They pace the gap with the cold eyes of men who see land not as home, but as profit per mile. They measure, they argue over coffee boiled black in tin cups. They nod once, final as a judge's gavel. This is the route. Word spreads faster than smallpox. Land that traded hands for a sack of salt now fetches dollars by the hundreds. Tents sprout overnight, canvas cities for merchants, gamblers, cooks with greasy aprons. The gap that swallowed travelers whole now hungers for iron. Rails to bind Virginia to Georgia, Knoxville to the sea. Rails to carry cotton, coal, cannon. Whatever America needs to feed its growing belly. Surveyors mark the grade with white flags whipping in the wind. Stakes hammered deep. The air hums with promise. Bull's Gap swells from a dozen cabins to 300 souls chasing the dream of easy money. But dreams like that need laying. And laying rails through Appalachian granite ain't no Sunday picnic. They need men. Hundreds, thousands. Men with backs that don't break and mouths that don't complain. So they bring the enslaved. No names, no muster rolls, no mercy in the record books. Dawn breaks cold over frozen mud that clings like sin. Chains rattle soft in November fog, thick as grief. Pickaxes bite granite that fights back, sparks flying, stone chipping faces raw. Men, brothers from Carolina plantations. Fathers bought cheap in Chattanooga markets, sons barely bearded, drag 800-pound iron rails through mire that sucks boots to the knee. Foremen perch on horseback, whips coiled like snakes at their belts. Lowland drawls cut the air sharper than wind off the ridges. "Faster, you black sons of bitches! Straighten that curve. No water till Knoxville says so." The work stretches 4 years into eternity. Dynamite cracks mountainsides, burying crews in rock slides that scream down like God's own wrath. Typhoid from the creek water hollows bellies to caves, dozens gone in a week, bodies wrapped in burlap and rolled into shallow cuts. Dysentery turns men to ghosts before noon. Malaria hums in the hollers after dark. One crew clears a cut near the gap's narrowest throat. A rail slips, crushes a leg clean off at the hip. The man screams till his throat bursts, no doctor within 20 miles. They leave him there, twitching in the mud, because the auction block in Nashville ships replacements by flatboat. No prayers read, no kin notified, just mountains swallowing every gasp, every curse, every plea for mama. By spring of '59, the grade's half done. Camp fever sweeps the tents, cholera this time, courtesy of a dead mule upstream. 50 gone in days, buried in unmarked pits, where the creek bends lazy. The foremen don't blink. "Keep swinging," they say, and the hammers fall. Winter 60, ice coats the cuts like glass. A blast goes wrong. Powder damp, fuse too short. The mountain answers with a roar that echoes to Virginia. 23 men under rubble. They dig out 8 alive. The rest fertilize the fill dirt for cross ties. No coroner's report, no widow's pensions. No lines in the ET&V ledger, but labor expended, $2, $400. By 1861, the first locomotive hauls through, a black beast of iron and steam, whistle piercing the ridges like Judgment Day. Brass gleams under sooty sky. Merchants line the platform, cheering with silk hats and tumblers of bourbon. The town fathers toast the future. Bull's Gap booms to 300 permanent souls. Stores, a smithy, a dry goods with calico from Charleston. Steam hisses, wheels grind gravel. The gap that John Bull claimed with axe and deed has become America's artery. But under every spike-driven true, every gravel bed tamped flat, every cross-tie bedded deep, blood clay, mass graves in railroad uniforms, a town born from unrecorded slaughter, and right there, where the tracks curve sharpest through the gap's throat, where the grade demanded the most lives, the dirt waits patient for what rises above, the Gilley's Hotel. The mountains lean in close, rails sing their triumph under full moon. The land beneath? It remembers every spike, every scream, every chain-link snap. No record book from Richmond to Washington will ever list the true foundation cost. No official history names the dead beneath the prosperity. But those future walls, when they rise, they'll carry the weight. They'll hold the silence the mountains demand. Bull's Gap was never just a gap. It was the first forbidden page. The land blood chose back. Bull's Gap, Tennessee, summer, 1863. The air hangs thick with the smell of wood smoke and unburied men. The first locomotive had barely cooled its axles when the war came knocking. Not with drums or bugles, but with the low rumble of boots on the Knoxville-Chattanooga road. Men in blue, men in gray, all hungry, all armed, all knowing one truth clearer than Scripture. Whoever owned the rails through Bull's Gap owned the Appalachians. You see, by 1863, the East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad wasn't just tracks anymore. It was the spine of the Confederacy's supply line. Cannon from Richmond, powder from Atlanta, salt from Saltville, medicine, what little there was, from New Orleans. All of it funneled through that narrow gap John Bull had claimed 70 years before. Lose Bull's Gap, and Knoxville starves. Lose Knoxville, and Tennessee cracks in half. The Union knew it. General Ambrose Burnside knew it. He sent Colonel John Shelley Wolfe and the 25th Michigan Infantry marching south from Ohio. Bayonets fixed, 2 days' rations in their haversacks. They hit the Gap on August 15, 1863, under a sky bruised purple with storm clouds. Wolfe's men, green Midwestern boys with frost still in their bones, found the town near empty. Merchants had fled to the hollers. Farmers hid their hogs in root cellars. John Bull's descendants barred their doors with oak beams thick as a man's thigh. The Michigan boys took the depot without a shot fired. Tore up a mile of track for spite. Spiked the switch at the water tower so no rebel train could pass. By sundown, they controlled the Gap, 300 feet of ridge-to-ridge rail that meant more to the war than 10,000 muskets. But the Confederacy wasn't sleeping. General Samuel Jones, Bald Jones to his men, for the shining pat under his slouch hat, got word by courier at his Knoxville headquarters. He didn't hesitate. Grabbed the 62nd and 65th Georgia, the 16th Georgia Battalion, 3 companies of the 43rd Tennessee Cavalry under Colonel James Finley and Colonel John Pegram's crack Virginia troopers. 500 horsemen, sabers gleaming, carbines slung. They rode hard through the night. Ford at the Holston River, swelling their numbers with every mile. Dawn, August 17th. Fog clings to the valley like a fever sweat. Wolfe's pickets hear it first, the muffled drum of hooves on the Bull's Gap Road. A vidette gallops back, face white as his lieutenant's braid. "Rebs comin', sir. Hundreds. Cavalry." Wolfe forms his line along the ridge south of the tracks. 2 companies behind rail fences, hastily ripped from McKinney's farm. 1 company in the creek bed, water to their knees. The depot building, new painted white with green trim, becomes their stronghold. Muskets primed, bayonets fixed. The 25th Michigan waits, hearts hammering like the locomotive they'd spiked the night before. The Rebs hit like thunder. Pegram's Virginians charge first, gray coats streaming, sabers up, the rebel yell splitting the fog like an axe through pine. Bullets snap through the air, stitching the rail fence with lead. A Michigan corporal from Toledo takes one through the throat, gurgles "mother," and slumps into the mud. Finley's Tennessee horse artillery unlimbers on the hill crest, 2 Napoleons barking flame, 12-pound shells bursting over the depot in showers of jagged iron. Wolfe's men hold, barely. Volley fire rakes the charging graybacks at 50 yards. Horses scream, legs folding. Riders pitch forward, sabers spinning end over end. The creek runs red from a dozen bluecoats gut-shot and drowning. By noon, Pegram pulls back, bloodied but unbroken. Casualties: Union 18, Confederate 37. The Gap holds blue, for now. But Jones isn't done. Not by a damn sight. He tightens the noose. Cavalry vedettes ring the town 3 miles out. Sharpshooters nest in the pines overlooking the Gap. No supplies get through. No couriers. The Michigan boys chew hardtack till their jaws ache, sip creek water gone brackish with the dead upstream. Rain starts that night. Biblical, turning the cuts to rivers of clay. Wolfe sends a rider north under flag of truce. Burnside's reply, "Hold the Gap. Relief coming." It never does. August 22nd. Jones strikes again, this time with infantry. The 62nd Georgia storms the ridge at dawn, bayonets gleaming like wolf teeth. Wolfe counters with canister from a captured Napoleon, double-shotted grape and ball-tearing gray ranks to rags. Limbs fly. A Georgia captain loses his left arm at the shoulder, keeps swinging his saber one-handed till a mini-ball cores his skull. The creek foams pink. The depot's white paint weeps blood from bullet holes. By dusk, Wolfe's down to 220 effectives. Ammo low, powder wet. Jones smells it, orders a final push at first light. August 23rd. The Gap becomes Hell's own slaughter pen. Pegram feints east, draws Wolfe's last reserves. Finley hits the creek line with 2 companies abreast. Tennessee volunteers screaming, "Remember Bethel!" as they wade waist-deep. Union fire mows them like wheat, but they keep coming, the dead piling into crude bridges for the living. A Michigan sergeant bayonets 3 in 20 seconds, his Enfield clubbed to splinters. Then a saber opens his belly from navel to ribs. Wolf falls back to the depot. Barricades the doors with cotton bales from the warehouse. The building shakes under Georgia musketry. Shells punch through the roof, igniting the attic hay. Smoke chokes the stairwells. By 10 a.m., 150 Yankees left fighting. Jones calls for surrender. Wolf refuses. "We'll die here first." They almost do. Pegram's cavalry torches the outbuildings. Flames leap to the depot roof. The air inside turns to oven heat. A corporal smothers fire on his sergeant's sleeve with bare hands, blisters rising black. Outside, rebel bugles sound the charge. Inside, Michigan voices join in, rally round the flag, as bullets punch through clapboard walls. Then, salvation from the hills. Captain John Foley, 101st Ohio, hears the fight from 5 miles off. His 80 mounted infantrymen, Ohio farm boys turned raiders, ford the Holston at a trot, carbines dry. They hit Pegram's rear like avenging angels, sabers slashing, Spencers cracking, 20 graybacks down in the first minute. The Virginia cavalry wheels, caught flat-footed. Foley presses, driving them into Finley's flank. Jones blinks, signals retreat. The gap holds, by the skin of its teeth. Bull's Gap burns through September. Union holds the depot. Confederates picket the ridges, skirmishes flare daily, snipers trading lead across the valley, patrols clashing at creek fords. Disease festers, typhoid from the dead, dysentery from fouled water. A surgeon's mate buries 30 in one afternoon, graves so shallow dogs dig them up by nightfall. Burnside finally relieves Wolf on October 3rd. The 25th, Michigan marches out hollow-eyed, 112 killed, wounded, missing. The Gap stays blue, but the cost. Fields pocked with shell craters, barns charred skeletons, the creek a sluggish vein of brown. Women forage dandelion greens and rats. Children cough blood in the night. The railroad, that precious artery, runs silent, ties torn. Rails warped from hasty sabotage. Winter, 1863-64. Snow blankets the Gap 12 feet deep. Union garrisons huddle in the depot, burning furniture for heat. Rebel raiders slip through the lines, Champ Ferguson's guerrillas, cold-blooded as timber rattlers. They hang a Union sympathizer from the water tower gibbet, leave him swinging for the crows. His wife finds him at dawn, cuts him down with her husband's own bowie, rocks the body like a child while snow melts pink around them. Spring, 1864. Longstreet marches through to reinforce Lee. His corps, 15, sours and graybacks, camps in the Gap 3 days. They strip the land bare, hogs, corn, fence rails for cook fires. A private from the 13th Mississippi writes home, "This place is fought over so much, ain't nothing left but rocks and widows." Sherman cuts the Western and Atlantic that summer. The Gap tightens like a noose. Trains stop. Merchants shutter. The town shrinks to ghosts. Then, Stoneman's Raid, December 1864. Union cavalry under General George Stoneman, Alonzo Cushing's battery attached, torches Saltville, then doubles back for Bull's Gap. They hit December 12th, sabers flashing by moonlight. Rebel pickets scatter. The depot burns again, this time to the ground. Rails torn for 3 miles each way, ties piled and fired. The water tower collapses in a thunder of oak and steam. Bull's Gap falls quiet. Finally, when the war ends, Appomattox, April 65, the Gap isn't a town anymore. It's a scar. 400 dead on both sides, buried in hasty trenches where the creek bends. Houses charred frames. The inn a collapsed roof on dirt floor. The blacksmith shop, John Bull's great-grandson's, cold forge, anvil cracked from neglect. The railroad, twisted iron and ash, months from repair. But the tracks will rise again, merchants will return, Tents become stores. The Gap heals its wounds with new paint and fresh hopes. And in 1885, on that very ground, where Union and greyback blood mixed in the clay, where Stoneman's troopers stacked ties for funeral pyres, a man with money and no conscience breaks ground for the finest hotel on the ET&V and G line. 4 stories of red brick rising from war's graveyard, 70 rooms over mass graves, a hand-carved registration desk waiting for names that will never all be written. The official records call it one of the finest hotels on the entire East Tennessee, Virginia, and Georgia Railroad. What the records leave out? The depot's ashen foundation beneath the lobby floor, the creek that still runs red some springs, the widows who curse the Gap from their cabin porches as the first guests arrive. The war didn't just scar Bull's Gap, it consecrated it, prepared the ground for walls that would see far worse. No history book lists every body under those bricks. No official ledger counts the Gap's true toll. But the land, soaked twice over, was ready for its next secret. The Gilleys was coming, and the mountains approved. 20 years after the last cannon fell silent, Bull's Gap breathes again. Not the ragged gasp of war, but the steady pulse of commerce. The East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad, now merged into the mighty Southern Railway, rules the Gap like a king on his throne. 14 trains daily. Dawn to dusk, the valley throbs with their rhythm. The whoo-oo-oo of whistles splitting ridges, the chugga-chugga of rods pumping pistons, the hiss of steam venting like dragon breath as locomotives take water at the tower. The town swells past 200 souls. Canvas tents gave way to clapboard stores. The blacksmith's anvil rings dawn to dark. Holston Creek runs clear again, powering a grist mill that grinds corn for half of Hawkins County. The depot, rebuilt grander after Stoneman torched it, gleams white with green trim, its platform bustling under freight agents barking orders. Cotton to Atlanta, coal to Norfolk, passengers to Knoxville, platform 3. But towering above it all, 4 stories of red brick dominance. The Smith Gilley Hotel. No longer just Smith House, renamed for its new owner, Gilley, a sharp-eyed Knoxville investor with railroad money and a taste for the good life. They call it one of the finest hotels on the entire ET&V and G line in the Knoxville papers, not hyperbole. Walk the lobby at noon and you'd swear you'd stepped into Chattanooga's Reed House, not some mountain gap. 70 rooms. Crystal chandeliers imported from Pittsburgh, gaslight mantels flickering gold, mahogany bar polished to a mirror sheen, a hand-carved registration desk, walnut, inlaid with oak, initials JB for John Bull's grandson who crafted it, dominates the check-in. Upstairs, Brussels carpets muffle boots on heart pine stairs, clawfoot tubs fed by a tin-lined tank in the attic, linen so crisp it snaps when the chambermaids shake it out. The ground floor bar hums from 6 a.m. Coffee bourbon for early freight crews to midnight whiskey for delayed passengers. The dining room seats 60. Fried chicken, red-eye gravy, cornbread hot from the oven, and catfish fresh from the creek. Prices, 50-cent breakfast, $1 dinner. Affordable to railroad men, extravagant to farmers. Bull's Gap lives for the hotel lives for the rails. Dawn. Train number 7, the Knoxville local. First whistle echoes 3 ridges out. Platform jam-packed, drummers with sample cases, farmers shipping hogs, women in starched collars bound for church socials in Morristown. The 440 Atlantic locomotive, brass bell gleaming, cow catcher dented from stray mules, brakes hard, steam hissing white against green hills. Passengers spill out. Porters grab trunks stamped Chicago and Richmond. The hotel's day begins. Simon Tate, day clerk, 42, lantern-jawed, ledgers balanced in his head before ink hits paper. Nods to the Knoxville merchant. Room 212, sir. Bath privileges. Registers the Atlanta cotton buyer. Corner suite, 3rd floor. Dining comped. Eyes the rough crew from the section gang, grease under nails. overalls stiff with cinders, and points them to the cheap rooms on 2. Second floor, $1 a night. Linen fresh. By 9 a.m., the lobbies are crossroads of America. A Nashville politician, silk vest, diamond stickpin, seals a timber deal with a Virginia lumber baron. Laughter booms over clinking glasses. 2 U.S. mail clerks sort registered letters by the stove, voices low over express matter from Washington. A Knoxville Sentinel reporter nurses coffee, notebook open to rumors of Interstate Commerce Commission hearings on freight rates. Noon. The Atlanta Flyer. Crack Express, 12 cars, diner aboard, but half the passengers hit the hotel anyway. Simon logs them fast. J.D. Hargrove, Atlanta, Suite 401. R.H. Caldwell, Memphis, Room 312. Businessmen flood the dining room. Waitresses weave through cigarette smoke. Chicken and dumplings? Catfish? Pecan pie a la mode? Freight crews off number 9 hit the bar. Shots of rye chased with branch water from the cooler. Tails fly. Derailed near Bean Station. Mule walked right onto the track. Afternoon brings the traveling men. Drummers for Sears Roebuck, peddling everything from barbed wire to patent medicine. Elixir of life, cures dropsy, female complaints and railroad cough. They work the lobby like wolves, sample cases open on settees. Simon knows their game. Register cheap, eat free, vanish before dawn with orders in their grip. Dusk. Train number 12, the Chattanooga accommodation. Rougher crowd. Section gangs off the Morristown Extra. Italian and Hungarian laborers shipped from New York slums. Boarding house bosses herding them like cattle. Speak broken English, eye the chandelier like it's solid gold. Simon assigns third-floor doubles. No cooking in rooms. Bar closes 11. They nod, grin yellow teeth, head upstairs smelling of garlic and sweat. But not everyone signs the book clean. The 4th floor. Gilley's quiet secret. No house phone up there. No numbers on the doors. Just brass 401-420, polished weekly but rarely used. Guests arrive after dark. Cloaks up despite summer heat. Simon takes cash only. Double rate, no questions. Balcony room, sir? Top corner overlooks the yards. Names like J. Smith, Chattanooga, or W. Brown. Transient. Pages that sometimes vanish by morning. Ink scraped clean, or sheet torn neat. 9 p.m. The real Bull's Gap begins. Freight yards glow orange from lanterns. Switch engines shunt boxcars under stars. Hotel bar fills with the railroad men who run the empire. Engineers in brass-button suits. Conductors with punch levers on chains. Firemen black from the cab. Laid 2 miles today past Rogersville. Curves a bastard. Heard ICC's sniffing around rate pools again. That extra out of Knoxville, hot box fire, 3 cars lost. Simon pours rye, listens. These men see America raw, wrecks, washouts, hobos jumping freights at speed. Between 1898, 1908, 48, 00 railroad workers dead, not paper accidents. Real blood, decapitated by switches, boiled alive in boiler blasts, crushed under jackknifed freights. Last week near Gate City, growls Big Tom, the engineer. Section hand caught couplers, sliced hip to shoulder, still twitching when we passed. The 4th floor waits for their kind. Midnight. Train number 17, Knoxville, Norfolk manifest. Rough freight, no diner. Hobos drop off in the yards. America's shadow army, riding the rods blind through mountain dark. Some beg platform scraps. Others slip the hotel's back door, known to porters for a nickel tip. Simon logs them vague. Laborer, transient. Up to 418, balcony room with creek view. Cash, no baggage. Night deepens, bar empties. Simon locks the ledger at 1 a.m., but the 4th floor hums soft. Doors click. Footsteps padded on carpet. Whispers behind oak panels. A shadow crosses the balcony, silhouette sharp against ridge moonlight. Simon sees from the stairwell, says nothing. Been here 10 years. knows the rules. What rules? The unwritten code of mountain rails. Between stations, law thins. Hobos knife fight over boxcar space. Section gangs settle grudges with shovels. Brakemen accident strikers off moving trains. Unions organize quiet in hotel rooms. Socialist pamphlets passed hand to hand, names that get men blacklisted from Knoxville to Bristol. Timber barons meet rivals to discuss territory. Atlanta enforcers lean on Knoxville merchants over freight rebates. The ICC sniffs. Congress talks antitrust, but in Bull's Gap, cash settles it. A page tears clean. A name becomes transient. A body goes in the creek, weighted with cross ties. Week of July 17th, 1912. The ledger tells part of it. July 18th, E. Rossi, Norfolk, room 415, paid $4 Italian section hand. Stabbed dawn next day. Greasy spoon argument. Body found yards away, throat cut ear to ear. Coroner rules, knife fight, Italian trouble. No investigation. July 20th, J. M. Hale, transient, arm 419, hobo from Cincinnati. Checks out sudden. Name scratch sloppy. Ink fresh when Simon opens morning. July 23rd, C. Walker, Atlanta, arm 402, cotton factor. Meets associates till 3 a.m. Next ledger page missing clean, torn at binding. Walker never returns. Simon notices, says nothing. Fourth floor maids whisper of stains on Brussels weave, no matter the scrubbing. Porters avoid balcony after dark. Barman Big Tom shakes head at Simon. Railroad business, Sim. Keep the cash drawer shut tight. August heat peaks. Train number 9 derails west of town. 6 cars jackknife, coal spilling black. Rescue train brings injured, crushed legs, burns from hot journal boxes. Doctors work depot platform under lanterns. 3 die before Knoxville. 2 recover in Gilley's 3rd floor sick rooms. Free. Railroad courtesy. The dead. Creek-bound. Quicklime from the livery. Labor Day weekend. Unions rumble. Section gangs walk off. Demand 20 seats the hour. No Sunday work. Southern Railway dispatches Pinkertons from Atlanta. Hard men. Derby hats. Bulge under left arms. Register as inspectors. Transient. 4th floor. Cash. No names remembered. Strike breaks ugly. 5 Italians beaten depot back. 2 vanish. Presumed Knoxville special next dawn. Pinkertons check out clean. Ledger page pristine. October chill. Hobos thicken. Fall lines run heavy. Coal to Tidewater. Apples from Virginia. Riders drop yards nightly. Wobblies organizing firemen. Gamblers fleecing crews. Thieves stripping copper from signal arms. Gilley's 4th fills. Laborers. Cincinnati, NY Norfolk. Balcony becomes council. Whispers of sabotage. Blacklist names. ICC testimony. November 3rd. Freight. 42 hotbox fire. 3 cars lost near Gap's throat. Engineer blames sabotage. Wire cut on block signal. Investigation points section gang grudge. 2 arrested Knoxville. 3rd. Checked out early. RM 417. Winter 1912 closes grip. Snow 12 inches deep. Trains crawl. Hotel bar glows haven yellow against black hills. Simon's ledger thickens. Merchants snowed in. Crew stranded by washouts. 4th floor steady. Travelers transient. Cash crisp. Origins vague. Christmas week. Train La Rue 14 snowbound Gap. Passengers fill every room. 4th floor hosts railroad VP from Richmond. Closed door meets with Knoxville Division Superintendent. Voices rise behind oak. Rate pools hold, or we all hang. Maids serve coffee silent. No notes taken. New Year's Eve. Bar packed shoulder to shoulder. Big Tom pours free till midnight. Fireworks crack over yards. 4th floor party. Atlanta men. Norfolk agents. Voices thick Tennessee bourbon. Simon locks ledger 2 a.m. Hears laughter. Glass clink. Then sudden quiet. Balcony shadow crosses moon. Next morning. Suite 401 vacant. No trace. 1912 ends. Gilley's ledger closes. 2. 847 registered guests. 1. 200 nights sold. 8 hours, 400 gross. What it doesn't count: pages torn, names erased, bodies creek-bound, deals sealed blood simple, Pinkerton visits, union plots hatched and crushed, hobos vanished into Knoxville specials. The hand-carved desk, John Bull's blood in every walnut whirl, absorbed every pen stroke, every erasure, every secret too heavy for paper. Bull's Gap thrived that year. 200 souls fed by 14 daily trains. The Gap poured wealth through Gilley's doors. But the fourth floor paid the tithe. And the record books, they kept only what commerce demanded. The dark stayed upstairs. 1912 crowned the hotel king of the Gap. But kings built on bones rule short. The rails would soon betray them all. It wasn't fire, wasn't flood, wasn't one cruel twist of fate that erased Bull's Gap. That would have been cleaner, quicker. No, this death came slow, like a man with a bullet in his gut, bleeding out one measured drop at a time while the world walks past and pretends not to notice. 1929. The stock market crashes in New York, but Bull's Gap feels it first in the yards. The Southern Railway, that iron king who crowned the Gilleys, tightens its belt. Passenger trains drop from 14 to 9 daily. The Knoxville local skips the Gap entirely, taking the new cutoff south of Morristown. Merchants stare at empty platforms, ledgers filling with red ink. Simon Tate, the day clerk who's seen 20 years of boom, notices it first. Fewer drummers, fewer specials. The bar closes early now. The hotel adapts, always does. They advertise winter rates, $1, $50 single, linen included, in the Knoxville Sentinel. Section gangs still fill the third floor. Italian and black laborers ship from Chattanooga for track work. But the fourth floor? Quieter. Fewer J. Smith. Transients. Pinkertons don't visit. Unions go underground after the Pullman strike lessons. Hobos still drop from freights, but the barman cuts them off at 1 whiskey. No credit in hard times. 1930. Passenger service cuts to 6 trains. The Atlanta Flyer, that noon glory with its diner cars, reroutes via Bristol. The platform that once echoed with porter shouts now hears only the wind. The grist mill lays off 3 men. Holston Creek runs idle. The dry goods store puts going out of business signs in the window. Simon logs the last big party. Atlanta cotton men celebrating a rate pool dodge. 4th floor full till 3 a.m. Laughter, breaking glass, then silence. Next day, 3 rooms vacant. Ledger pages crisp, but 2 names scratched faint. The town shrinks. Families pack Model Ts with mattresses roped to roofs, heading for Detroit factories or California oranges. Better wages out west, they say, not meeting eyes. The blacksmith's forge goes cold. John Bull's great-great-grandson sells the anvil for scrap. The livery stable converts to a garage. Pumping Texaco from one rusty pump. Gilley's fights. They convert the 2nd floor to long-term rentals. Railroad widows take rooms by the month. $8 cooking privileges in the basement. Section foremen bunk 4 to a room, sharing 1 clawfoot tub. Simon tells the maids, double sheets on transients. They come dirty. The bar still draws freight crews. Engineers nursing rye after 12-hour runs, firemen black as sinners from coal dust. Tales flow. Hot box fire near Gate City. Lost 4 cars. Man caught between, sliced clean. But the 4th floor gathers dust. Balcony doors stick from disuse. Maids whisper of cold spots. Stains no scrub removes. Simon avoids it after dark. Ghosts pay no rent, he jokes, but his eyes don't laugh. 1931. Passenger trains, 4 daily. Freight tonnage drops 30%. The depot, that white elephant rebuilt post-Stoneman, loses its agent. Telegrapher handles tickets from a closet office. Merchants board windows. The Sentinel reporter who once nursed coffee in the lobby transfers to Chattanooga. Simon hires a boy from the orphanage to sweep floors, pays him in meals. The creek changes too. Less mill runoff means clearer water, but fish float belly up from coal cinders, washed downstream. Kids, fewer now, skip rocks where bodies once tangled after Pinkerton nights. Old men on depot benches chew tobacco, swap stories of 1912 boom, 14 trains, hotel full, money like water. The boy sweeping Gilley's listens, broom slow. 1932. Hoovervilles sprout in the yards, tents and tar paper shacks where hobos once just passed through. The Southern runs relief trains, boxcars loaded with Hoover stew, handed out depot side. Simon turns no one away hungry, but rooms stay half empty. Fourth floor locked after a vagrant fire, mattress blaze, no deaths but smoke, black as sin up the stairwell. Election night. FDR promises New Deal. Bar packed till 2 a.m. Freight crews cheer. Jobs coming. Simon logs a rare fourth floor guest. Union organizer Chicago. Meets section hands till dawn. Next morning, name gone. Page pristine. 1935. Dust Bowl migrants roll through. Okies in rusted Fords. Mattresses tied high. Eyes hollow from Route 66. They beg platform work. Anything. Track laying. Shovel. Southern hires few. Most sleep yards. Beg Gilley's kitchen scraps. Simon's widow boarders feed them cornbread through back door. Lord helps those who show up hungry. Passenger service. 2 trains. The gap dies audible. No noon rush. No evening specials. Depot platform weeds knee-high. Water tower rusts. Planks rotting. Switch engine shunts empties under moon. Ghost clanks echoing off empty hills. Gilley's pivots hard. Full conversion to apartments. Simon manages rentals. Railroad retirees on pensions. Section foreman between jobs. Single women from Knoxville factories. No pets. No cooking in rooms. Rent first of month. The lobby bar shrinks to clubroom. 10 stools, no chandelier. Maids gone. Tenants clean own. Fourth floor divided into efficiencies. Hot plate allowed, $5 a month. Tenants talk. Mrs. Hargrove, widow of engineer Big Tom. Walls Creek nights, 4th floor cold year-round. Mr. Ellis, retired conductor. Heard footsteps balcony, like 1912 crowds. The boy, now 16 still sweeping, quits after seeing Shadow Man on stairs. Simon shrugs. Depression makes ghosts. 1938. Last passenger train cancelled. Freights only, coal to Norfolk, lumber return. Depot closes, ticket window boarded. Telegrapher retires, the gap's artery clots. Town population, 400. Storefronts, hollow shells. School consolidates with Rogersville. Church steeple tilts from foundation shift. Creek erosion, they say. Gilley's apartments fill with desperate unemployed brakemen. TB sanatorium cases from Knoxville. Hobos gone permanent. Rent lags. Simon evicts slow. Cash or keys. 4th floor turnover high. Tenants leave sudden. No notice. Stains appear on carpets. Maids refuse balcony. Smells like wet wool and blood. 1941. Pearl Harbor. War boom flickers hope. Southern needs crews. Hires local boys. But trucks kill freight. New highways bypass gap. Trains drop further. Depot raised for salvage. White paint sold cans. Green trim firewood. Water tower condemned. Planks auctioned. Rails stay, but empties outnumber loads. Tenants age. Mrs. Hargrove dies room 212. Heart, they say. No family claims. Simon buries her creekside. Preacher from Morristown. Mr. Ellis moves Knoxville nursing home. New renters, defense workers from Oak Ridge. Manhattan Project hush. 4th floor hosts, visitors, suits, cash rent. No questions. War ends. They vanish. Names scratched. 1946. Post-war. Autos rule. Interstate whispers begin. Town, 250 souls. Main Street ghosts. For lease signs fade. Gilley's at half capacity. Simon retires. Nephew takes books. 4th floor mostly vacant. Utilities cut to save coin. Tenants cluster lower floors. 1950. Population 180. School gone. Church closes. Last store, Holston Mercantile, sells to chain Knoxville. Freight down 60%. Yards shrink. Sidings ripped for career scrap. Water tower demolished. Crash shakes Gilley's windows half-mile off. Dust settles slow. Tenants dwindle. Echoes in hallways. Fourth floor sealed. Board-nailed doors. Structural, nephew claims. Maids gone entirely. Tenants clean communal bath. Boy from orphanage, now man, returns as porter, quits again. Walls move when you're alone. 1955, 100 souls. Trucks haul what rails once owned. Diesel replaces steam, no water tower needed. Switch engines gone, through freights only. Depot lot weeds chest high. Gilley's, 12 tenants, mostly elderly. Rent collected door to door. Bar club room shuttered. Liquor license lapsed. Winter storm rips balcony rail. Fourth floor leaks chronic. Nephew boards windows. Too costly. Tenants complain cold. Drafts. Footsteps overhead despite vacancy. Mrs. Ellis, conductor's daughter, moves after hands on shoulder nights. 1960. 60 residents. Post office consolidates Rogersville. No doctor, no barber. Church raised. Stones for dam. Gilley's, 8 apartments rented. 3 vacant lower floors. Fourth floor, tomb silent, pigeons nesting cornices. Nephew sells to out-of-town speculator. Fixer-upper. 1962. Last tenants leave. No replacements. Utilities flicker. Windows crack. Copper wiring stripped. Hobos again. Bolder now. Doors hang open. Balcony sags. Registration desk. John Bull's walnut heirloom. Sits lobby dust-shrouded. Inkwell dry. 1965. Town. 32 souls. Freights down to 2 daily. Empties mostly. Yards jungle. Holston Creek choked trash. Gilley's stands alone trackside. 4 red brick stories, sentinel over rusted rails. Sign tilts, Smith Gilley Hotel. Porch sags, lobby weeds through floorboards. Windows blind white dust. 4th floor balcony collapses. Crash echoes gap like Stoneman's cannon. No one comes. No one cares. The mountains reclaim. Final nail, 1968. Southern abandons Bull's Gap spur. Rails lifted. Ties burned. Ballast sold. Last freight, empty coal hoppers. Rattles through dawn fog. Engineer waves, depot ghosts. Whistle mourns long. 3 blasts fading ridges. Silence falls. Gilley's stands empty. Doors ajar. 4th floor open to sky. Registration desk waits names that never come. Balcony gone. Walls lean imperceptibly trackward. Population 22, all over 60. No children, no dogs, no lights after dark. The gap John Bull claimed, built on slave blood, fought over in cannon fire, crowned by Gilley's commerce, dies not with bang but whimper. No coroner's report, no widow's pensions, no history book page. Just red brick beside rusted right-of-way, waiting for the National Register to notice, for preservationists to dream, for walls to finally speak. Bull's Gap didn't burn or flood. It bled out slow, 1 empty train at a time. The Gilleys watched every departure and remembered every name that never signed out. Not with fanfare, not with mayoral speeches or brass plaques, just a manila envelope from Washington, D.C., crisp form 10900, nominations signed by the Tennessee Historical Commission. Pages 18 through 25 detail architectural significance. Red brick laid in common bond. 4 stories over raised basement. Segmental arch windows. Corbelled cornices. The hand-carved registration desk. Walnut oak inlay, JB 1885 initials, faint under dust, merits 2 paragraphs. Excellent example of late 19th century commercial vernacular in railroad town context. Area of significance, commerce, transportation, 1885-1930. No mention of 1857 chains in the mud. No line for 1863 cannon smoke. No paragraph on 4th floor ledgers with erased ink. The nomination form, sworn, notarized, filed under penalty of perjury, counts 2, 847 registered guests in 1912, peak year. Omits the pages, torn clean at the binding. Washington approves. Bull's Gap, historic district born. Gilley's stands protected. Tax credits for future owners. National Park Service blessing. The Gap's 22 souls, all over 60, surviving on Social Security and garden beans. Read about it in the Rogersville Review. Local landmarks saved. No celebration, no parade. Just relief that the red brick won't become a gravel pit. 1990s. The preservation era begins. East Tennessee Preservation Alliance discovers Gilley's on a windshield survey. 3 members, architects, historians, grant writers, park rented Ford's trackside. Boots crunch ballast gravel. Flashbulbs pop against boarded lobby windows. Notebooks fill. Intact interior. Desk original. 4th floor balcony collapse, 1965. Serious restoration candidate. They pitch Knoxville, raise $17,000 seed money, state grants, National Trust mini funds, private donors who summer in Gatlinburg. Feasibility study, $1, $2 million total rehab, new roof, tuck point brick, stabilized foundation. Convert to boutique inn, 12 rooms at $125 night, restaurant and former dining hall, event space on, yes, the 4th floor. Locals hear rumors. Old Man Ellis, conductor's son, 82 now, spits tobacco at depot weeds. Won't hold. Walls know too much. Mrs. Hargrove's niece, visiting from Morristown. Auntie said never rent 4th. Stains come back. The ETPA laughs polite. Appalachian folklore, common in abandoned structures. 1998. First work crew arrives. Scaffolding rings the tower. Roofers peel 1930s tar paper, find original slate, 70% intact. Carpenters shore lobby. Simon Tate's great-nephew, 68, retired Greyhound driver, watches from his porch, half-mile off. They'll find it, he tells the mailman. Ledger pages under floorboards, or the desk drawer. Mailman nods, drives on. Crew finds nothing, but feels it. Lead carpenter Jimmy Rawls, Morristown local. Cold up there, 4th floor, tools vanish, turn up basement, voices in the walls, like crowds, far off. Electrician from Greenville walks off day 3. Lights flicker 418 steady, no short. Roofers refuse balcony work after dark. Shadows move wrong, like men in overcoats, 1912 style. ETPA calls structural engineer. Report, no paranormal activity. Temperature differential from poor insulation. Settling common in a 100-year structure. Crew returns, work resumes. 2001, ground-penetrating radar on foundation. Anomaly detected. Linear, 10 feet down, paralleling track right-of-way. Archaeologist called possible utility trench or pre-railroad feature. Dig scheduled. Locals gather, 12 now. Town shrinking. Ellis spits, 1857, first cruise. Dig finds rusted spike, broken pickhead. No bones. Crew fills hole. ETPA spins positive. Authentic railroad artifact display case. 2005, $400, $Dollars raised. Windows restored, segmental arches reframed, glass period accurate. Lobby chandelier rebuilt from photos. Registration desk cleaned, oiled, mounted under plexiglass. Plaque, John Bull, desk guitar 1885, heart of Gilley's operation. At 4th floor scaffolded. Balcony rebuilt, steel reinforced. Event space ready 2007, brochure promises. But tenants, no. Visitors, report. First open house, June 2006. Knoxville Garden Club tour. Mrs. Abernathy, 72, former railroad widow. Felt breath on neck. Room 415. Smelled coal smoke. Docent smiles. Restored HVAC issue. Group moves on. 2010. Partial reopening. 6 rooms rented weekends. 89 night. Continental breakfast. Reviews mixed. Charming history. Creeks normal old building. Versa 4th floor. Voices arguing. Left early. ETPA installs motion sensors, lights, auto balcony. Complaints drop. 2015. Full boutique inn, 12 rooms. B&B prices, $135, $189. Restaurant, Gap Junction Grill, Red Eye Gravy, Cornbread, Craft IPAs. Wedding bookings. Fourth floor hosts reunions, corporate retreats. Perfect mountain escape, TripAdvisor 4, 2 stars. But the locals, 8 left, don't visit. Ellis dies 2012, age 87. Buried creekside near Mrs. Hargrove. Headstone, heard the trains. Last original tenant's niece tells kids, don't sleep fourth, names still walk. 2020. COVID empties rooms, ETPA pivots, private retreats only. I'm a fourth floor dark again. Staff quits citing COVID stress cold spots. Radar anomaly revisited. Private donor funds dig. Finds, 7 pickmates, 3 chain fragments, human bone shard. Coroner, pre-1860, railroad labor. ETPA press release, important historical find, display planned. Bone reburied unmarked, dig backfilled, 2025, present day. Gilley's operates 60% capacity, 2 million invested, debt serviced by weddings, Airbnbs. National Register plaque shines trackside. Brochure boasts, live railroad history, sleep where tycoons schemed. What the brochure omits, 1857 foundation, 200 plus enslaved, dead unnamed. No muster rolls, no widows' pensions. 1863-64 battles, 400 combatants, hasty trench graves. Creek ran red 3 springs. 1912, 4th floor, 48. Agile railroad deaths era-wide. Gilley's share, names scratched, pages torn, bodies creek-weighted. Ledger anomalies, Simon Tate's books, attic trunk, 17 pages missing 1912. Pinkerton registers vanished. Union organizers checked out early. Tenant exodus 1960s, 100% vacancy within 18 months. No foreclosures, no evictions. Just left. Preservation anomalies. Tools lost, shadows wrong. Bone shard dismissed. East Tennessee Preservation Alliance tours school groups. Script tight. Commerce hub. Architectural gem. Railroad heritage. Kids ask, ghosts? Docents laugh, folklore. But night security, Morristown contract, carries flashlight, radio, sidearm, logs, unexplained noises, weekly. Room 418 locked permanent. Guest complaint, pacing, whispers. October full moon nights. Old-timers claim trains pass. No lights, no whistle, just chugga-chugga fading ridges. Trackless right-of-way. The National Register protected the brick, the mortgage, the tax breaks. It never registered the weight those bricks carry. 4 stories over slave clay, war ash, erased ink, creek silt. 70 rooms that hosted 847 souls, and countless more who never signed. The hand-carved desk waits under plexiglass, initials JB gleaming. John Bull's gap, John Bull's blood. The mountains lean close some nights, listening. The walls, 135 years strong, answer back. No history book lists every debt Bull's Gap owes. No preservation grant pays the true restoration cost. The Gilley stands, National Register certified. But the record books? They still forbid the dark. The forbidden dark that built it. The dark that never left.